Hey guys, my name's Jeff. I'm making this video today just to showcase some of the features and capabilities of a jet milling drilling machine that I've got for sale online. It's a JMD 18. It's got a 9.5 by almost 32 inch table on it. And it also has a Toyo digital readout on it. A lot of times you'll see those listed as DRO, and that stands for digital readout. And I'm going to go ahead and explain what that does and what makes a milling drilling machine different from a milling machine. This is more designed for a home shop or a small shop, especially something without three-phase power and limited space. This isn't something that you would see in the Ford or Chevy plant. This isn't something that you would see in a massive 20,000 square foot warehouse dedicated to machining. They would have specialized tools for this. But the great thing about this is it replaces a drill press and does so much more than that. It allows you to do real and accurate milling as well as drilling. A drill press, sometimes you go to Harbor Freight, you'll go to, one of the cheaper, foreign tool places, and you'll find the little cross slide table, and, people will want to chuck a milling cutter up into a drill press and use the cross slide table, and the results are always terrible. This machine really bridges the gap between the two without going all the way to like a smithy machine, which is mill, drill, and lathe. And the capacities of them are just limited. So if you want a really large cross-slide table and a lot of milling capacity, but you also don't want to give up your drill press, this is a great machine. So you may be asking yourself, what makes a milling drilling machine different from a milling machine? Both of them have a quill and a place that you can mount the cutter into it. Right now I have a standard 1-inch hole saw mounted in a Jacobs chuck. And the tooling is mounted in this using an R8 spindle taper, and I'll explain that in just a few minutes. But it's mounted into the quill. And the quill can be moved in two different ways. On a drill press, you have 3 handles on a wheel on the side, and this has exactly the same thing. So you can take this and you can feed that down into the work, like so. But a milling machine doesn't generally have that type of a handle on the side for just easy feeding a bit down into work. Now if you're doing a bunch of drilling, you're drilling a hole, you're moving the piece, drilling another hole, moving the piece, drilling another hole, you want that capability. You want to be able to fast feed a drill down into your work. This, however, has a different function, and this is great. You can actually tighten this knob right here on the side and really tighten it down, and you can use this exactly like a milling machine. You then have a down feed handle right here on the quill, and it will actually slowly and precisely, and you can't see on the video, but there's actually a scale over here that measures to the 1,000th of an inch exactly how far down you fed the milling cutter or the drill or the tap, whatever it may be, down into the work. And you can move things very slowly and precisely, and you'll notice that this is actually moving the handle, and doing that fixes the handle in place. So you can also move it this way. Now got it cranked down there a little bit. So we ask ourselves, what would you use that for? Well, the best thing about a milling drilling machine with a digital readout, in my opinion, is actually for pattern drilling. If you want to drill holes in exact places, and let's face it, that's really what most people that aren't professional machinists really want with a milling machine, or a drill press. You're looking at drilling accurate holes. Well, it's not just a matter of drill one hole in the exact place. Let's say that you have a plate of work. This is just a piece of 3/4 inch MDF, but let's say that it's metal. And let's say that you wanted a hole right here in the corner, 1 inch down from it, and then another one 3 inches over and 1 inch up. So you wanted it in a 3 inch by 1 inch square. You've got these 4 holes. How would you do that? Well, with this particular machine, you would do that, and granted this is a massive 1 inch hole saw bit, but let's just say that it was actually a smaller bit. You would clamp the workpiece into either a large metal machining clamp. This one is going to come with a 6-inch Replica Kurt Vise. And you can see it right down there on the ground. And you can also see the stand for the milling machine. That's all really high quality. I'll go ahead and leave that there. These bottom pieces may look like wood, but they're actually not. This is solid aluminum. And these top pieces right here are also 2-inch square, completely solid aluminum. Only the posts are steel, and they're 1/8 of an inch thick, 2 by 2. This is all precision machined, precision cut, drilled, and tapped. And it's put together mainly with grade 8 bolts. This thing is absolutely bulletproof and much, much stouter than anything you would get if you were to buy this machine new from, say, Jet or a distributor. Those come with stamped sheet metal stands. So if you wanted to, you could mount the piece of metal in that 6-inch Kurt Vise, or Replica Kurt Vise, sorry, it's not actual Kurt brand, if you wanted to. But whatever you had, if you clamped, whether it's woodworking, metalworking, you're working with plastic, some sort of composite, doesn't matter what it is, nothing beats this type of machine for pattern drilling, especially fast pattern drilling. So let's say you have this thing clamped down. I don't know if you can see that, but what a digital readout does is it tells you the exact position of the table in relation to the bit. So let's say that we drill our first hole just like so. We come down, we drill our first hole in the material. Then what we do is we want to drill it 1 inch this way. So we take our table, and as we move it 1 inch, there are numbers right here in a little LED digital readout, and I'm not sure if you can see that on the video. You probably can't, just because of the lighting, but they're very clear, and they're accurate to the 10,000th of an inch. So you move it over 1 inch. You would drill your next hole, and then we want to move over 3 inches. So we come over here, and we move the table now 3 inches this way. The whole time we're looking at our digital readout, and it will show you exactly where it moves to. Sorry, I don't have the handle fixed on here right now. So we move it over 3 inches, we're in position, let's say that it's at 3 inches, and then we drill down, and then we go back and we want another one, and so we need to drill our 4th hole. We come over here, and we go ahead and we move the table back and we drill our 4th hole. Now the great thing about it is we know exactly when we've gotten 3 inches to the left, 3 inches to the right, 1 inch down, up, wherever it is, we know to the 10,000th of an inch where we're going to drill. We can also route straight cuts with this if we wanted to use a routing bit. I mean, we can do just about anything with this particular machine. And that's why I say the main use for it is really pattern drilling, what it's just best suited for. But if you have limited space in a home shop and all you have is single phase current, this is your machine. It uses single phase current, not very much. You could run this off of an extension off of your dryer or your stove. A 10 to 12 gauge cord should be more than enough unless you're running just hundreds of feet. You're not looking at installing an extra 50 amp 240 volt breaker like you would for a welding machine, say. This actually pulls less than your standard 240 air compressor. So this is just an excellent home shop machine. But you can also do metal machining with it that you would do with a standard, Bridgeport mill. No, it's not quite as sturdy as, your full-size Bridgeport mill, but that's way bigger, weighs 3 times as much, takes up far more floor space, and you don't get the drill press functionality of this. And it may or may not come with the digital readout. One thing about this digital readout I wanted to say is it's Mitutoyo Toyo. There are really 2 companies in measurement equipment when it comes to machining, Starrett and Mitutoyo, that are just top of the line and known all over the world. This is Mitutoyo, a digital readout, so you know that it's really high quality. It's got the Mitutoyo slides on it. This bar across the front, and then this one, you can't see it, but it goes back. These are the glass slides. These are also Mitutoyo, so you know that you've got quality here. It's also multi-speed. Just like a drill press, you would go ahead and you would change the speed. It's got a drive pulley and a driven pulley, and then an idler pulley here. All you would do is you would go ahead and you would loosen this right here, which clamps the motor in place, and then the idler pulley is held in place right here using 2 bolts. Just a standard 12mm socket will loosen those up, and then the idler pulley will move. You change the belts out for whatever speed you want, and it has a large speed selection. I'm going to be changing the speed and going a lot faster because I'm going to be doing some routing shortly on MDF. So not quite the speed of my Porter-Cable or Bosch woodworking router, but it'll do just fine. And that's how you change the speed itself. And then I also just changed the position of the head. So if you want to get farther up from the table, you can easily do that. You would loosen these 2 bolts right here, which I already did, and then come over here to this handle, and you'll notice that the head will go down all the way, and it will come back up very easily as well. So, and you'll notice it has a little bit of wobble as it's coming back up and down, but that's okay. It clamps into position, and then you go ahead and you zero it out. So just like a drill press, there's a little bit of wobble while you're actually moving the entire head. That's okay. The head is meant to be used clamped in place. So when you get it into the height range you want, you go ahead and you crank down on these 2 bolts. It is rock solid, will not move at all. This is the on-off button, the quill down feed, and that is about all that I can think really to show you today. And I'm going to go ahead and make a few videos of me making some hinge routing templates for the hinge pockets on doors. I have 10 interior doors to install, so I'm going to go ahead and use that project to showcase what this can do. And then I'm also making a jig for the door handles and the latches to mount to. So I'm going to need a drill guide to drill out for both of these, and then to route out for the latch plate right there. So you get to see me do that. Take care.